All right, we're back with another episode. We're going to call this episode 2, right?
Episode 2.
Episode 2. We had a little bit of a delay getting it out. I was out of the country for a week and a half, and then I had jury duty for the week after that. So I think the whole month of, what are we now, June?
Yeah.
I was here maybe 6 days,
Yeah.
7 days. So
I can't say the same.
Yeah, y'all been here, yeah. So I guess if you're not here, then I understand. So
Yeah.
I will get that. But yeah, so episode 2, we kind of posed the question on the first one. Are you a finisher? Mm-hmm. I guess we'll just jump right into it, right?
Sure.
Yeah, unless you have anything you want to say, anything you want to go over before we talk about this.
July 22nd.
Yeah.
We're going to have John DeRock in the building.
Owner of Apollo.
Owner of
Sprayers.
Apollo. Yeah. We're going to be doing a free demo with him that morning. So we're trying to do it in the morning and end early because it is ridiculously hot in Texas right now.
Yeah, it is.
Heat index is over 110. So...
And there's a hurricane brewing.
Hurricane.
We were just talking about that before we started for recording.
Yeah. So,
And what's the name of it? Barrel?
something like that. I don't know.
I saw it the other day, and I thought, it's kind of fitting that it's barreling towards us. And the name of it is Barrel. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. And we may be maybe recording this in ankle deep water. Who knows? The next one.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Let's hope
not. We don't get any water in here. Okay, so I guess we'll just kind of start with, are you a finisher, maybe by defining what a finisher is in the shortest amount of terms, and then we can kind of dig into some details there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess maybe that's kind of too broad of a question, is what is a finisher? But in simple terms, what sets a finisher apart from any other tradesperson? Maybe a painter, I guess, in general. Maybe that's the wrong question. You can change that up however you want.
I mean, the way I've always known it is, finishers and refinishers specialize in, stain work and, general, I shouldn't say general finishing, but wood substrates, maybe metal substrates, composite substrates, where everything's being applied, off the gun, and it's typically a fine finish material, meaning, it's traditionally we were used to, the lower solid viscosity materials like lacquers and conversion varnishes and stuff like that. I know nothing. I am a finisher because I know nothing about painting walls and exterior and doing sheetrock. Mike was asking me recently, like, will this work on sheetrock? Like, I have no idea.
He was talking about this table. Is that something that somebody does? Do they put? I mean, we don't have to get into it too far, but
yeah, I mean, like, you get these guys that do like the fine paints of Europe, which is a oil-based paint in gloss, and they're doing it on sheetrock.
Huh. Okay.
And I mean, I don't know if an automotive.
It was
an automotive coating.
Yeah.
Right? Even people would be like, "Oh, you're doing automotive coatings on wood." Well, yeah, because I mean, the properties are similar to achieve the results we wanted. Right,
but sheetrock, I mean, it's paper, right? That you're essentially putting it on, right? I mean, it's paper with
I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't.
Well, you say you don't know how to paint. You don't know about painting walls, but I mean, and this is not a knock on wall painters, but I mean, it's really just put the paint on the roller and roll it on, right? I mean, really, right?
Yeah,
again, I'm not. It's not a knock on or to downgrade somebody's profession, but I think that's the main question here is what sets a finisher apart, because we do have a lot of people that will say painters, you're a painter. Well, that's kind of a different category where you're just applying paint to something like these walls in here, you know?
Right.
Julio came in and did this, and
Yeah.
less than an hour, right?
Sure. Yep.
So I think the fine finish part, or not fine finish part, a finisher,
Yeah.
when you're adding that fine part to it,
Yeah.
you're really taking the time to make something that, I mean, wood already looks nice, right? I mean, everybody likes the way wood looks, but you're really, it's not as simple as just putting something on top of it, right? I mean,
No.
at the end of the day.
No, and I mean, I think the real skill aspect to it comes really when we're talking about stain work in general, because most finishers, at least the way I was always taught, you make your own stains.
Yeah.
Right? You make your own toners. You understand color theory. You have to know the different species of wood. You have to have a general understanding of if it's a refinish or antique restoration or something like that, what type of finish is on there. How are we going to remove it? Is it a veneered substrate? How thick is the veneer?
Yeah.
How are we going to sand it once we strip it without burning through the veneer? There's a lot of things there that you have to have knowledge on. I think it's gotten significantly easier for people because of the characteristics of the type of coatings we're using now. With lacquers and PUs and conversion varnish, solvent-based materials in general, I mean, they need to look good off of the gun.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And those products, like I'll give this scenario, right? Like an airless sprayer is not the traditional sprayer you would ever see usually in a finishing shop.
Yeah.
It's just not. That's what house painters use. But now these products do spray really well with an airless, which has opened opportunity for, and they self-level, right? So, and they can be over-applied. I mean, there's so many things that make the coating itself make somebody look really, really good. But that's just an example, right? I mean, you have to genuinely understand the characteristics of the coating and to be able to select the proper needle and nozzle sizes and air cap size or air pressure settings or how to atomize material properly, and there's a lot of
nuanced things for sure to know. And I guess too, if someone is listening out there and they're asking themselves, am I a finisher, right? Is that an obvious question? Do people know that, or is it dumb to ask that?
I don't think so, man. And I say that because I'm gonna put out a pretty bold statement here. When I started Elite Fine Finish, I thought it was really unique because I hadn't seen hardly anyone use fine finish in the name of their company. I hadn't. And now you see it everywhere. It's so-and-so fine finish, and the fine finish this, fine finish. Man, it was always like refinishing or finishing or painting or something like that. So it's unique to see so many people calling themselves a finishing company, our customers included. But yet I know for sure, I shouldn't say that, but I mean, I'm very confident that a bulk of them couldn't do the work that, say, we could do in the back there, right? Like if you're around, you see how this process kind of goes. Somebody approaches us with a control sample and they say, here, match this, right? And it's not, oh, this is alabaster white. No, it's like a stain, right? Or it's a special effect, and clear, or it's a variety of a stain and a toner and a glaze and matching the sheen, right? And it's up to us to figure out, like, how do we do it?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and most people wouldn't have the first clue.
Yeah.
Right, which is why we're doing that again, because there's really not a
Yeah.
bunch of options out there.
Yeah, and we have people call up here, saying I'm a house painter, wall painter,
Oh, yeah, every
and
day.
they say I want to get into painting cabinets.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's wise of them to switch their mission statement or something, like right off the bat,
No.
saying now I'm a finisher? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think it takes to go from a house painter or a painter to a finisher? And I know, again, that's another broad statement, but I guess you kind of already answered it. It's knowing, because it's not as easy, again, as just slapping paint on the wall,
Right.
slapping paint on cabinets. Because my mom and dad's cabinets, they had somebody come in and do them after their house flooded.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys, they used a brush and a roller.
Right.
And I don't know what paint they used, but it was probably something very subpar, right?
Sure.
And you can tell. I mean, you can absolutely tell. And I'm sure that it's going to fail
Yep.
sooner than later, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Or not.
or maybe or not. I don't know. But
Or
those
not.
guys, I wonder if they're calling themselves finishers, right? Or they just happen to be there and say, "Hey, I could paint those cabinets for you."
Yeah.
Is it fair for someone to call themselves a finisher? I don't know.
Well, I think it's more of, like I said, understanding what that entails, right? Because to me, if I were to approach a finishing company for finishing work, it's going to be very specific, and it's not going to be like one thing. So if all you do and all you've ever done is paint cabinets, and I say paint, and I use the terminology, I say paint all the time, because I'm referring to a solid color.
Yeah.
That's what I'm referring to, because most people, especially homeowners, that's what they're thinking. Like, I want my cabinets white. I need a painter.
A painter, yeah.
Right? They don't think like most, and I'm saying most, they don't think like, oh, I need a refinisher. Right? Because most homeowners don't know that terminology. So I understand why I think people do it, because they want to specialize, but from a marketing perspective, if all you're going to do is paint cabinets white or a solid color, I think it's smarter to say XYZ cabinet painting.
Yeah.
For marketing purposes.
Yeah.
Organic reach, because we have fine finish in our name, because that's what we do. I could care less. Actually, I do. I care, because we don't paint cabinets. We don't finish cabinets. We don't refinish cabinets. It's something that we said when we started up again. We will not do it. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense for us.
Yeah. And I think so drilling down deeper here, what is the does a substrate matter? Because you could call somebody that repaints cars. Are they a finisher?
Well, yeah. I mean, collision repair and refinishing is typically how it's referred to.
Yeah.
So yeah, automotive finisher and automotive refinisher. Yes.
So it takes, but even if there's let's say there's a metal focal point or something in your home,
a feature
right?
wall.
Feature wall, right? It's metal coated or it's copper or something. I don't know, whatever. Just a regular painter, you need a finisher for that, right? So technically the substrate doesn't matter. It could be wood, it could be metal, it could be sheetrock.
Yeah,
right? I guess it didn't. So is it it's the finish that we're talking about,
right?
Really?
And yeah, so I think there's a big difference there when we're talking about residential.
Yeah.
Right. Because
you're right. I keep going back to that. Yeah.
A homeowner, right? They're looking at Pinterest and they're getting a room painted.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, can you do this? And sure, there's products out there, they sell direct to metal coatings at Sherwin-Williams or they have metal effects DIY products from Modern Masters and stuff like that. If we take that same question and apply it to commercial, I'll give you the scenario of the storefront that me and Jose went and knocked out for Cody not that long ago. They had painters there in the store painting the walls, but they needed a copper. They needed the door frame and trim to be a metallic copper. They didn't ask the painter to do that.
Yeah.
They asked somebody that specializes in finishing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we need this specialty finish, because in the commercial space they understand.
Yeah.
They do. When you look at architectural drawings of something getting built, there'll be a spec sheet for everything.
Yeah.
They're calling out all the different finishes and stuff like that. So I think that's the big difference, right? Where people have to be cautious, but also I think it's important that people are aware, because there's way more painters in the market than there are finishers, and it's always been that way.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunity for people to take advantage of that, and if they want to take the time to learn, and truly understand the finishing aspect of it, then it's good. It's a good opportunity.
Yeah. And again, this might sound like a dumb question, do you need to have knowledge on spraying
Absolutely,
to be a finisher?
100%.
Okay.
Everything is spray. Yep.
Yeah, everything is spray, but
Yep.
could you, I guess you'll never get the level of quality if you're not spraying on during refinish or finishing, right?
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of the finish work, especially when we're talking larger scale projects and stuff, what's different is that a lot of it in the commercial side is specified already. So, the architects and designers and engineers have spent a lot of time saying, like, hey, we want to use conversion varnish.
Yeah.
Right, and we want it to be from ML Campbell. I personally wouldn't take that job.
Yeah.
Because of what we do, but if this was before we had the store, that's what I would use.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what's different is, if you're a cabinet painting company and you use Renner, well, what do you do when somebody specifies something that you've never sprayed before? Maybe you've never sprayed conversion varnish, right? Maybe you've never sprayed lacquer. What do you do? Exactly. That's the thing. So that's where it comes down to. For me, I tell people all the time, it really truly does not matter what the coating is.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. I mean, if it's sprayable, I usually can look at the TDS sheet.
Yeah.
I can look at the material itself, and I know what I need to use.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the big difference. And maybe people think that way or along those lines as well. But I mean, God, solvent, it's so finicky. It's super finicky. I mean, lacquers blush on you in humidity. Conversion varnishes, if they're not catalyzed properly, they can never dry or they can crack. I mean, there's different thinners. You have slow, medium, fast thinners and reducers. There's a million different things.
There's a lot of things that you need to know. Yeah, for sure. Again, if the question really is painter versus finisher, right? And I don't know if that's what you meant when you were posing that question, right?
Yeah.
Were you posing it as, hey, ask yourself, are you actually a finisher, right? Or are you a painter
that's learning how to finish,
yeah. Or you're disguised as a finisher, like you're you're not really doing the things that are needed to finish anything. Right. I guess finish anything. Yeah. So how has the finisher evolved over the years? Right.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're
what
not,
did it used
they
to
need to be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, I think this goes for anything in general. I guarantee you think you know how to mop a floor, right? But I promise you, there's somebody on YouTube that's like, oh no, you have to, measure out the liquid, and fucking cross hatch it.
Get down to the science of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think about, because I was trying to think what other profession you could equate this to, and you ever heard of Alton Brown on Food Network? Yeah. He's the guy,
the science guy.
Yeah. So it was always interesting to me watching him, because he'll figure out not what might taste better, but why it tastes better, and like the science behind making it taste better, or cooking it the right way, or whatever, right? So it kind of goes to that, where you're saying there's always going to be somebody out there who's really getting down into the details of making it where you're not gonna I don't know the words, but I know what you mean. There's always somebody out there that's gonna make it better by just thinking about it. So,
and I think it's time behind the tools, and experience as well. Because I mean, you could read the manual, right? And you can think like, oh, I'm ready for this test, right? And then fucking fail miserably. Like everybody's done it, right? I mean, you can think a lot until you realize you don't know shit. And that's just going to take a massive amount of time of understanding and looking at it. Like, how is it laying down? Why is it doing this? Why is it doing that?
Being able to adapt.
Oh, absolutely.
In the moment, right? Because those are a lot of questions that we get. Is this happened, and now, and to you it might be obvious. To you, Lewis, it might be obvious. Like, you know exactly what they're doing wrong, right? But really knowing in the moment where to change direction, or use another tool that you haven't used yet or in a while, to get it to fix it if you mess it up, or if you're fixing somebody else's mess up, because that's a big thing too, is having to fix somebody else's who thought they were a finisher.
100%. And I get I'll be the first person. I try to be as honest with our customers as possible and be like, Matt, you're not ready for this. Like, if you're asking me how you do this and you expect me to be able to explain it to you on a phone conversation, or by like spraying one panel with you for an hour, like, it would be so foolish to take somebody's money and say you're capable of performing that job that you've never done before, and your only confidence is coming because you talk to me. Like, that would it's silly.
Or reading one blog post,
or asking a bunch of people on the internet that aren't doing. They're just sitting around, answering questions. But
you get the same thing, because we have that discussion all the time about some people in this industry who we know don't know.
Oh God!
And they're giving information.
Absolutely.
And it's tough to navigate through that, and there's some people out there who are definitely finishers, right? And they're not 100% sure how to put themselves out there or set themselves apart from people who aren't actually finishers, right? Because then that goes back to having to fix. We hear stories too. Somebody came in and says, gosh, this customer of mine, they hired somebody to do this and they screwed it up, and now they're bringing me in. It's, there's a customer that I know knows what they're doing, but I mean, it's got to be tough. And again, that's in any industry too, where you're trying to prove to a customer or potential customer that maybe my price is a little higher because I know what I'm doing, right? And they go for the lower price. I mean, what can somebody do to set themselves apart? An actual finisher.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a hard question to answer, I guess. Maybe
it really. I mean, I don't know, because most finishers that I know stay pretty damn busy because there's not many out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's harder for the guys that are trying to get into the finishing industry because they don't have the contacts, and they do not understand how to market themselves that way, and they're probably chasing the wrong customer.
Yeah.
You know, they're still trying to chase the same customer and re-educate them. Like, it's probably our biggest uphill battle as a store selling materials, is that we are trying to re-educate a market of house painters on why they should use our material, right? A painter that's now a finisher or a refinisher that's going into the same market that 99% of the painters are going into, and trying to re-educate a homeowner why they're better. It's a fucking uphill battle.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why we do use terminology like, I don't know what people expect when they call or see, and we try to make our content as easy to understand and digest. But it's like, well, I'm not a chemist.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not trying to be a chemist. Like, why do you want to talk to me about chemistry? Like, you're not a chemist either. Like, you think you're going to go talk to Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner and have a conversation about coding chemistry, and somehow that's going to award you a job?
Yeah.
You're foolish.
Yeah.
You're foolish. You know, you're just going to confuse the living fuck out of them. And more than likely, the guy that did like your parents' cabinets is going to come along and say, oh, yeah, Sherwin-Williams. Yep, I'll do it. You ready? What color would you like?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're going to get the fucking job, and you're going to go sit in your truck and talk shit about it. And at the end of the day, you didn't get the job.
Yeah.
So who really cares?
Well, yeah, and at that point, you're right. Yeah, and I mean, it's educating the homeowner, because to be honest, you know, before I started working with you, if you would have asked me how to, if I wanted different color cabinets, right? My first thought would have been, I just need new cabinets. Like, right? I mean, like, I need some that are already white, and I gotta take these out and put these in. I know that sounds dumb. I'm not saying I actually. If you probably would have sat me down and asked me, I would have been like, well, no, I guess we could paint these. But when my wife says, I want these cabinets a different color, I'm thinking, oh God, this was a long time ago. This isn't now, you know? But thinking, God, that's gonna be a lot of work. We got to take all these out and put new ones in, right? So that's how the homeowner thinks. Is that they don't know it all, right? Sure. So to tell them anything, whether it's built-in shelves or it's a what did you call it, feature wall or anything, a lot of these things can be redone. Oh yeah, right, the right way, but not just getting a bucket and a brush and
no, absolutely,
just painting on something you find at Lowe's, you know. So
which happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely,
and it's only getting worse with you know, the internet and YouTube, and it's fine. I mean, because at the end of the day, you know, people spend so much time worried about that bullshit. Like, oh, they're using this and they're using that, and look at this, how this company's doing their marketing and telling homeowners they don't have to sand and they don't have to clean. It's like, why are you worried about it? Because that was never your customer anyways. Yeah. Like, if you think that person that thought it was a good idea to use a product that you don't have to sand the cabinets and they just get a brush and brush it on, guess what? They weren't going to spend $10,000 with you. Yeah. They weren't going to do it. Yeah. They weren't ever going to do it. So quit worrying about it. You know? Yeah. You know, find the people that are genuinely interested in having a quality service done where, you know, they don't have to mess with it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, going back to, like I was saying, when you and I, before I started working with you, I think one of the first things I worked on you with was a direct mailer. And it basically said, very simple terms, you know, we showed the before and after of cabinets. And it was kind of split screen on a piece of paper. And then on the bottom right it said, you know, cabinet refinishing starting at whatever you said, $2,500, $3,500, right?
I think it said don't replace
refinish.
Yeah, something
don't replace,
like that.
refinish.
Yeah,
and that's where
like
when I was like, well, duh, yeah. I mean, that makes total sense
Yeah.
because I was just doing marketing at that point, and I was helping a lot of different companies in different industries. So when I first started doing that with you, then I was like, well, okay, duh, that makes sense that you could just refinish your cabinets and they look badass.
Yeah.
It looks great. So what I was going to say is that it goes that speaks to the marketing, right?
Yes.
Because
100%.
me as the homeowner,
Yep.
if you have to educate me to show me what is the difference between a finisher and a painter.
Right.
You don't want a painter doing this on your cabinets.
Yeah.
Right.
To an extent, I think if we go back even further, like you said before, where you thought you would have to replace the cabinets, right? Our marketing was very simple. Don't replace. Refinish.
Don't replace, refinish. Yeah.
Right. So now there's a call to action with the price. You're like, oh, holy shit. Because I think a lot of homeowners go down that path where they're like, oh, yeah, I want white cabinets or stained cabinets, whatever. Then they get a quote to replace the cabinets and they're like, oh, fuck, $25,000. Like, I don't have that.
Yeah.
And then you see that and you're like, well, wait a minute. What's the catch?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you call. And again, it's what's the call to action? How are we going to sell them? How are we going to make them understand? Because I think if we look at it from that point of view, what if we would have done the marketing piece as don't hire a painter, hire a refinisher, but we're basically saying both give you the same result from a picture standpoint.
Yeah.
The white cabinet's a white cabinet, right? What I mean, they're white.
Yeah, because the homeowner doesn't know everything you did. They don't know that you're sanding and
they
then
just know they want white cabinets.
They're sanding and then you're priming and then you're sanding and then you're top coating and then you're sanding. Yeah, just
how long does it take?
Yeah, exactly. That's all they want to know. When can I get my kitchen back? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So, it's really you have to show them in so many words that hey, there's a difference between me just slapping paint on this, and there's a
Sure.
Yeah, so it's not just a painter.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I had some other questions here that I was going to go over. These are so general and kind of out there. So what about you did mention getting bad information off of social media, right? But there is a level of networking that is involved,
Sure,
right? That working with other people, getting experiences from them, their failures, their successes, right?
Sure.
So I don't know, maybe you could speak to that. I mean, I don't know if you have anything specific, but real quick, sidebar here, we're wearing the same clothes that we just did in the other recording, right? We recorded 2 episodes in one day.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not wearing the same thing we did.
Yeah. It's 4th of July week. Give us a break. We're trying to cram it in.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be off on Thursday.
Yeah. And Friday.
Yeah, we're closed Friday, by the way. And this will be out by Friday. But what I was getting to is we recorded with Mike Ruiz, right?
Yep.
And that'll be the next episode, right? Yep. You mentioned that, or we talked about that he didn't want to divulge his revenue, right?
Right.
Is that diving deeper into that? Well, then you also said, was it earlier in this episode about Cody? That we want to have Cody on? Or that was the end of next one. Anyways, we're confusing our stuff here. But you said he does, right? And do you think he talks about that to other finishers, to other people in the industry? Maybe not to that degree, but do you think he's giving insight to other guys, hoping that he gets some back? Sorry, yeah.
I think so. Me and Cody have actually had the conversation, where I had suggested to him maybe he go to like PCA, or something, or where there's people that are
like-minded people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think the biggest difference, like with Cody, he's running a legit business. Man.
Yeah.
Like I like here, I like to feel like we are running a very legitimate business. We're focused on selling product, right? And we keep margins at the forefront of it. We're cognizant of, a lot of different things. So, I mean, he's the same way, right?
Yeah.
He has benchmarks and goals and things like that, and that'll be a good podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So again, backing up, it is important, like let's say PCA, right? Are there any other expos or conventions that would be good for that?
Well, I mean, PCA is specifically for painters, and that Cody, they do everything, right? So I mean, I think if we're talking business, I think it could be anything in general. It doesn't. PCA is good because it's industry related. But I did a, God, what do they call it, dude? They asked me to be not a speaker there because I wasn't the only one.
It was a keynote, wasn't it?
No, it was, there was like 3 or 4 of us up there talking to a room of
panel?
people. Yeah, like a panel discussion, exactly. And it was funny because one of the guys that was on the panel mentioned cabinet painting. He said something along the lines like, man, I see all these guys are having so many issues with cabinets. Don't fucking paint cabinets. Stick to painting walls and stick, why are you so worried about, painting cabinets when you might do $1.5 million painting fucking exteriors?
That's what I was going to say. What is the driving factor for somebody to want to do that?
Maybe just the request for it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I don't know if maybe they thought being a finisher looked better, right? Or is it more profitable? I mean, is it?
I mean, it depends, right? And I was kind of asking Mike Ruiz like the same question when he started talking about commercial work versus residential, and I think his answer was kind of vague, and maybe he doesn't know. I mean, it could be. I think if we asked Cody, he would say, "Oh man, my margins on painting a wall versus painting a cabinet, it's 17.3% difference." He's gonna know those numbers.
Sure.
Just like we know we make a certain amount on stain and we make a certain amount on paint, right? So it becomes very apparent in somebody's business model why they do the things the way they do.
Yeah.
So.
And scale doesn't have anything to do with it, right? I mean,
it could.
You talk about, well, you mean as far as answering the question of are you a finisher or not? Meaning, and what I mean by scale is you have a large cabinet company, right? That's finishing cabinets for multi-family, right?
Yep.
They're still considered finishing, right? I mean,
that's their finishing department?
Finishing department. Yeah.
They're a manufacturer.
And I guess that was an obvious question. I figured it was going to be that they're still finishing stuff, right?
Yeah.
But so scale doesn't really matter, is what I mean. You could be you could be just you out there doing it, or so. And I'm just trying to pose questions for somebody who might be asking, are they a finisher?
Yeah.
Right? And they might be saying, well, I can't be a finisher. I'm only one guy. I mean, how can I be a finisher?
Yeah.
I mean, I need 25 guys. I need 50 guys, or girls. Both. It doesn't matter.
No, I think
Not
it's
sexist.
more or less the scope of work that you're capable of doing.
For sure.
Right? Because I think to be able to call yourself a finisher, like 100% say, I am a finisher, I can do anything, you better make sure you can do it. It'd be like me saying, I'm going to start a painting company. I'd have to go learn a bunch of shit, like for real. I'd have to learn sheetrock, how to finish sheetrock.
No, you're right.
What this texture's called, and what do I use on the ceiling.
You're right. There's a lot more to it.
I'd need. I mean, I couldn't just like, oh, hey, I know how to finish, so let me start a painting company.
Yeah.
Because people ask me to paint the walls when I'm done.
Yeah.
Painting the cabinets. That would be. And speaking of that, like when we had our full-blown finishing where we specialized in cabinet refinishing, almost every customer asked us if we could paint the walls after we painted the cabinets.
With the same paint?
No.
Oh, they wanted different.
They just wanted to paint the walls. They didn't care what kind of paint it was. And we never did.
Oh, really? Just denied them?
Yeah, it just wasn't ever worth it to me to get into it. I mean, how much more was I going to make painting the wall versus not painting the wall and going and doing another cabinet job?
Yeah, true. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else specific to being a
No.
finisher that you wanted to
and-
discuss?
And we'll let's leave it at that right now, primarily because we know our favorite customers here waiting on me.
No comment. He's right behind the door.
Yeah,
I bet he
waiting.
has his ear to the door right now.
he wants to join in.
He's trying to say, when is Lewis coming out?
I need to go out there and run through it. But I think this gives people perspective, and you set up that question
Yeah, so
thing,
what?
and let's have people ask us questions. If
Okay.
I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. you know?
Okay, so listen, yeah, for sure. And there's a few ways we don't have billions of listens on these, right? But I know there's enough of you listening that you got to have some question. We won't even have to say your name, right? We could just say the question.
Anonymous.
But on Spotify, there's a Q&A, right, after each episode. Not after it; it's on the episode page. You can go to our website at Fine Finish Supply. That's the store, finefinishsupply.com. There's a contact forms on there. There's a widget to chat. You can go to Fine Finish Supply's Facebook page or Instagram. We have a
TikTok.
Fine Finish Podcast, Facebook, Instagram. There's a TikTok page for Fine Finish Supply. All those have messaging on them. Really, seriously, drop us some question, a topic maybe that you want us to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Again, maybe you want to be on it, right? Because we're always looking for somebody to come in and talk about their experience. But yeah, let us know, because it would really help us drive this thing forward if we had some more stuff going on. But
Yep.
but I guess we'll leave it at that, and then we'll see y'all on the next episode.
Yep.
All
Now
right.
that we're recording, they'll see us.
Yeah, they'll see us. Actually, you know what? Yeah, this is going to be the first video one that we've done, and it's going to be a bitch to edit. But well, I'll have to figure out my routine, and then once I get it down, it'll be. I'll have it. It won't take me long. But if it just bear with me, guys. If it looks like shit, and if it is what it is. As long as you can see us and hear us, that's all I care about. I don't really care what I look like. So. Anyways, all right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Later.
Later, man.
All right, let me go paint with Antonio.
The Fine Finish Podcast was created and hosted by Louis Hasso, and produced and co-hosted by Matt Looney. Our theme music is by Kirk Wellness on SoundCloud. Fine Finish Supply is a stocking distributor of Renner Wood Coatings, Surf Prep Sanding, Apollo HVLP, and Tri-Tech Airless. To support this podcast, we ask that you share it with others by simply passing on the link, post it on your social media, or just tell everyone you know. For more information and to reach us, visit our website at www.finefinishsupply.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to reach out to us at 1-866-304-8640. Thanks for listening.